He told me I was his queen. He said he would save me. But he did not want a wife. He wanted a project. When he was done, he threw me away like trash. This is the dark reality behind the tall glass towers of the American elite. They enjoy unseen privilege. This privilege sometimes demands a hidden price. Our story begins with Aisha, a Nigerian woman looking for love. She found Julian Thorne, a mysterious tech billionaire. He was worth billions. He seemed like a savior. He promised her a life of unimaginable luxury. He promised safety, but his promise quickly turned into a weapon. Julian Thorne had a dark pattern. He married poor, vulnerable women. He brought them into his world. He abused them. Then he divorced them. He did this over and over. But the truth behind this will shock you. It reveals a broken legal system. It shows how wealth is used to cover up a crime. Aisha was his latest target. She was the one he didn't expect. She fought back. She exposed his twisted game. Aisha's battle was not just for her. It was for every woman Julian had crushed. She knew the simple truth. Marriage was his weapon. Let me show you exactly how this happened. We will see how one Nigerian woman took on a global billionaire and his empire of lies.
This story matters to you. It proves that abuse is not just about fists. It is about control. It is about using power to trap and silence people. This happens everywhere. It happens in the UK, the US, the Middle East, and South Asia. This is a global warning. Aisha was a young, resilient woman from Lagos, Nigeria. She was working 2 jobs. She was trying to send money home. She was not naive, but she was hopeful. She believed in true love. Julian Thorne was the opposite. He was in his late 40s. He was a brilliant tech investor. He was a billionaire many times over. He was famous for his wealth. He was notorious for his failed marriages. Julian met Aisha during a brief trip to Nigeria. He showered her with attention. He flew her to his huge estate in Miami, Florida. He proposed within weeks. Everything moved too fast. This was the first shock. He promised Aisha a happy future. He promised her safety. Aisha, tired of finding poverty, said yes. She believed him. She saw hope for her family. But the luxury quickly became a disguise. Julian's estate was beautiful. It was also completely isolated. It had high walls. It had layers of security. Aisha had no keys. She had no car. She needed permission to leave. This was the second layer of control. Julian had a pattern. He only married women from developing countries, women who were poor, women who had little legal power in the U.S. This was his key strategy. He needed women who would be easy to silence. Aisha was put to work immediately. She was not just the wife. She was expected to manage the huge house staff. She had to attend every event. She was expected to smile and look perfect. She worked for his image. This was the silent start of her enslavement. I'll explain why the visa system was Julian's biggest weapon in a moment. Now, here's where things get really interesting. The most accessible wow is the scale of Julian Thorne's serial abuse pattern. It was not one failed marriage. It was a calculated sequence of women he destroyed. Sources suggest Julian had been married 4 times before Aisha. Each marriage lasted less than a year. Each marriage ended with the wife leaving with almost nothing. Each wife signed a complex prenuptial agreement written only in English. Julian's prenup was ruthless. It was over 100 pages long. It stated that if the wife left for any reason within the first year, she got 0. If she spoke about the marriage, she faced a $10 million fine. This massive penalty was the legal chain. He used this legal threat to enforce his abuse. The cruelty was quiet but constant. He controlled her money. He controlled her phone calls. He often told Aisha, "You are not smart enough to leave. You have nothing to go back to." The next major revelation is the hidden mechanism of Aisha's fight, the network of previous victims and the secret evidence. This is where the story shifts from victim to investigator. Aisha knew she couldn't fight Julian alone. His lawyers were the best in the world. His power was absolute. She realized she needed more than her word. She needed a blueprint. Aisha remembered something Julian once said about his previous wife, a woman named Lena from Eastern Europe. Aisha used a secure hidden laptop she had found in the house. She searched for Lena. This was a huge risk. Julian monitored all house activity. Aisha found Lena on social media. Lena had a hidden, locked profile. Aisha sent a simple, desperate message. "I am Julian's new wife. I need your help. He took everything." Lena responded. She was scared. She was silenced by the $10 million fine threat, but she saw her own suffering in Aisha's words. Lena connected Aisha with two other former wives. They formed a secret alliance. They called themselves the Wives. The former wives confirmed the pattern: the psychological abuse, the isolation, the timed divorces exactly when the first-year clause expired. This was not random. It was a calculated strategy. Lena revealed the complex mechanism. Julian would file for divorce on the 366th day. That was one day after the one-year mark. If the wife left before the 365th day, she got nothing. If she left after, she was entitled to a small settlement. He used this legal loophole to maximize their suffering and minimize his cost.
Aisha's second piece of evidence was hidden inside the house. Julian had an expensive custom-made watch. He often spoke into the watch to record reminders. Aisha suspected he was recording his abuse. She took the watch when Julian was traveling. She transferred the files. She found shocking evidence. Julian recording himself taunting and mocking her. He was heard saying, quote, "You were just a project, darling, a charity case." And, well, this was not just abuse. It was evidence of malicious intent. An insider perspective here is important. In domestic abuse cases involving the rich, the victim's word is dismissed. The abuser's technology is often their undoing. Aisha's quiet demeanor was her shield. It hid her rebellion. She defied the system built to silence her. I'll explain why this audio recording was the legal breakthrough that Julian's lawyers could not hide in a moment. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all. The climax is the unexpected collective lawsuit that reframed Julian's scheme from divorce to racketeering and fraud.
Julian finally filed for divorce. It was exactly day 366. He was confident. He offered Aisha a minimal, humiliating payout. He expected her to sign and disappear. Aisha did not sign. She used the secret recordings and the testimony of the former wives. They filed a joint civil lawsuit against Julian Thorne. The lawsuit was filed in a small, remote court, far from Julian's media influence. The suit did not just claim abuse, it claimed pattern of criminal fraud and emotional racketeering. Racketeering is a huge charge. It means organized crime. The claim was that Julian used the marriage structure to gain access to vulnerable women and then silence them through financial threats, which is a pattern of criminal activity. The biggest high-stakes reveal. The women's legal team presented the secret audio. Julian's own voice recording was played in the courtroom. His mocking words, "You were just a project," echoed through the room. This recording proved malicious intent and a pattern of deception, not just an unhappy marriage. This reframed the entire story. The divorces were not failures, they were systematic crimes. Julian's biggest weapon, his wealth and legal power, was suddenly useless against his own words and the collective truth of 4 women. The system tried to cover it up with legal threats. Aisha's courage and the collective action broke the system. Julian Thorne was shocked. He had expected 1 silenced woman. He got 4 unified victims. He had to face his own words in court. His entire empire was now at risk. But wait, the biggest implication is what her victory means for other victims of the elite. So what does all this mean for us today? Aisha's story matters now for every global viewer. It shows that legal systems can be leveraged against the ultra-rich. It proves that collective truth can defeat individual power. The short-term consequence was financial and legal justice. The court found in favor of the 4 women. Julian Thorne was ordered to pay a massive settlement, reportedly one of the largest non-injury-related payouts in recent history. His reputation was utterly destroyed. His image as a benevolent billionaire was shattered forever. Her long-term consequence is the Thorne Clause. According to sources, the landmark ruling led to the unofficial creation of the Thorne Clause. This is a legal term that refers to prenuptial agreements designed to silence or harm vulnerable parties. Legal experts now use this case to challenge abusive prenuptial agreements in the U.S. and U.K. For the target viewer in the U.S. and U.K., this is a lesson in thin-seen financial control. We must question the silence around powerful figures. We must understand that marriage, immigration, and financial laws can be weaponized. A simple prediction is that Aisha will become a strong advocate. She will use the settlement money to create a foundation. This foundation will help women from developing countries who are trapped in abusive international marriages. She will break the cycle of fear. I'll explain why in a moment that Julian's actions were not just about greed. They were about dominance and a God complex. He enjoyed the feeling of saving someone only to destroy them later. His wealth was not enough. He needed total emotional and legal mastery over others. Aisha's personal takeaway is simple. Isolation is the enemy of justice. Her success was not due to luck. It was due to her decision to reach out and find her fellow victims. Her quiet observation and the secret audio were her greatest weapons. Past bias suggests that a poor woman from Nigeria has no chance against a billionaire. Aisha fought this battle with a laptop, a voice recorder, and 3 other brave women. She used the only tool she had. She layered her information. Simple abuse, added detail of the prenup, then the context of the racketeering lawsuit. The tension remains. The problem of billionaires abusing their power is not gone. Other wealthy individuals are still using legal loopholes. but they know they can be caught. Aisha's victory created a powerful blueprint for survival. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. The final unexpected twist is what happened to Julian Thorne's tech empire. The scandal and the subsequent legal fees crushed Julian's business. His investors pulled out. His companies faced government inquiries due to the fraud charges. He didn't just lose the lawsuit, he lost his core identity. The shocking revelation? Julian Thorne was forced to sell his controlling interests in his main tech company. The company was bought by a competing firm. That competing firm immediately made Aisha's foundation a primary recipient of its yearly charity donations. The irony is profound. Julian's empire is now being used to fund the fight against people like him. We started this story talking about a Nigerian woman fighting a billionaire. We thought it was about revenge. The emotional close of the story loop is this. Aisha's fight was not for revenge. It was to ensure Julian Thorne could never use marriage as his weapon again. She turned her pain into a legal precedent. She left behind a world where a prenup is not always a promise of silence. This story is a powerful reminder. Crisis can be a weapon. Abuse can be a forge. Aisha took the worst possible situation and created a global legacy for justice. Her life is a living lesson. You can always fight back. You can always find your fellow victims. You can always define your own worth. If this opened your eyes to the shadow world of elite abuse, you're not alone.
So, what did Aisha teach us? Powerful is the illusion of their perfection. Second, the true power is in finding the others. If you are inspired by, we look at the hidden mechanics behind global issues. Also, the small sign that broke a high-tech mansion. The link of video. Have you ever faced a powerful opponent and found strength in a community or in a piece of hidden evidence?